Hey guys, welcome back to another episode of the Music Den. I'm your host, Armando Venditti. Hoping you guys are having a good day. And above all else, that you are looking after yourselves and one another. Ladies and gentlemen, I want to welcome you back to another episode of Is This a Masterpiece? I'm flying solo on this one this time. Now, a few weeks ago, I did a series of 5 episodes of Is This a Masterpiece with my two partners in crime. Crime spelled Cryme for you prog music fans out there, Mr. Ken Cheshire and Mr. Jim Bricker. And the three of us discussed a list of 5 albums that I came up with that, from the casual music listener to the staunch music listener, would look at this list of 5 albums and would probably agree that on some level, yes, these 5 albums would be considered a masterpiece on some level. But in thinking about it this morning, I was thinking about that there's another band in the progressive rock field from the UK that really doesn't get that much mention or even a nod, now and again. Now, just a bit of a background here. When you think of progressive rock bands from the 70s in the UK, you think of Jethro Tull, you think of Yes, you think of King Crimson, Genesis, but there are other bands that were around in the UK that were doing progressive rock and releasing albums of the 70s that, again, really didn't get much of a mention. Well, I'm going to try and correct that today. The band I'm talking about today is Camel. Now, just a bit about Camel before I get into the album I'm going to talk about. Camel are a progressive rock band formed in Guildford, Surrey, in 1971. They were active as a band from 1971 to 1984. They broke up in the mid 80s. They reformed in 1991 and pretty much have been going strong ever since. Now, in terms of labels, they've been signed to such labels as MCA, Durham, Decca, Gamma, Janus, and they've also had their own music company called Camel Productions. Now, the album that we're going to be talking about today, first of all, for me, I first heard of Camel about 3 years ago. Um, I didn't know they existed as a band. And this one album I'm going to be talking about today, this is the one album that people usually mention that this is the one album you have to listen to uh, when you want to listen to Camel. And that album is Moonmadness. Now, just a bit about Moonmadness. It is their fourth release, released through Decca and Gamma Records, released in April of 1976, recorded from January to February of 1976, produced by Rhett Davies and Camel, recorded at Basing Street Studio in London. Uh, it has a playing time of 39 minutes and 12 seconds. Now, today, for a CD, that would be quite short. For an LP back in the day, just right. Now, Moonmadness is the band's follow-up to their 1975 release, Music from the Snow Goose. Now, just a bit about Music from the Snow Goose. In 1974, the band members were trying to come up with an idea for a new album. And one of the band members came across the novel The Snow Goose. And they were enamored with this book, and they wrote some music uh, based on what they were reading with the Snow Goose. And they wanted to add some text from the book in order to make this album, this concept album. However, the author of the Snow Goose blocked them from using any text from the book. So the band switched gears and retitled the album Music from the Snow Goose. Now, getting back to Moonmadness. Performing on the album, you have Andrew Latimer on guitars, flute, and vocals for tracks 5 and 6. You have Peter Bardens on keyboards and vocals for track 4. You have Doug Ferguson on bass and vocals for track number 2. And Andy Ward on drums and percussion, providing spoken voice piece for track number 1. Now, getting more into this album, I was given this album a few years ago by one Anthony Ferraro, And I just want to send out a quick thank you to Anthony for sending me the album. He sent me copy on vinyl. And Anthony, you didn't have to do that, but it is much appreciated. Now, in terms of the album Moon Madness, it is, according to the notes I have here, it's a loosely based concept album where four of the seven tracks on the album are based on the four members of the band. You have the track Airborne, which is based on Andrew Latimer. You have the track Chord Changes, which is based on Peter Bardens. The track Another Night, based on Doug Ferguson. And the final track, Lunar Sea, which is based on drummer percussionist Andy Ward. Now, I'm going to go through these tracks with you. There's seven in total, as I said, and four of the tracks are based on members of the band. Now, the first track is a short instrumental called Aristylus. I hope I say that correctly, clocking in at 1 minute and 56 seconds. Now, before I get into Aristylus as a piece, I got to say that the keyboard work on this album is simply amazing. It is fantastic. And each track that you listen to on this album, you literally feel, Nina agrees because she's cooing right now, she's taking a nap. Um, you literally feel that you're pretty much wrapped up in a blanket of uh, synth patterns and keyboard textures. It is just amazing. And Aristylus is no different. Again, starts off the album clocking in at 1 minute 56 seconds. In my notes, I have here wall of synths that start the album. Uh, Beautiful melodic synths as well. Um, Almost done in a marching time rhythm. You know, the overlapping synth passages that come in. There's a lot going on here musically in 1 minute and 56 seconds. So it is simply gorgeous. Um, okay, as I go down my notes here, track two, we have Song Within a Song, clocking in at 7 minutes and 16 seconds. And I have here bathed in synths with guitars underpinning. You have like certain guitar notes that come in that kind of underpin the whole piece. Um, at 32 seconds, it switches from mid-tempo to a slow tempo drum pattern. Lush synths come in again. Gorgeous use of flute on this track. 3 minutes and 8 seconds, the guitars come in. Harmony guitars build at 425. There's the tempo changes again into a shuffle pattern. Very melodic synth solo that comes in, chugging rhythm guitars, and a grand wall of synths and cymbal crashes that end the track. It kind of builds up to a grand ending, you know. Beautifully done. Beautifully done. After that is the instrumental chord changes, 6 minutes and 45 seconds. In my notes, I have here fast tempo, uh, guitar driven track, intricate drum pattern that comes in. Uh, and what I like about the guitar work on this album, they do quite a bit of double tracking of guitar leads for guitar solos and stuff. So they're building up a great wall, a great texture of sound, right? That you're basically wrapped up in. I'd love to get this in a surround sound format. It is just amazing. Also in my notes, I have here multiple time signature changes on chord change. Uh, Interesting because it's based on, you know, Doug Ferguson, the bass player. Brilliant guitar solos on this, and nice soloing on the synths that come in. A lot of synth solos on this track. Pretty much on chord changes, they're going for it. It's pretty much a free for all in terms of the music that they want to create for this track. Um, Track four, which ends up side one, is a piece called Spirit of the Water, and 2 minutes and 7 seconds. And in my notes, I have your nice calming piano passages, beautiful melody on flute. So you have the piano and flute that come in together, and it's beautiful. Andrew Latimer's work on the flute, it is just sublime. It is amazing. And it comes in rich and lush and full when he plays. It is simply wonderful. Um, Side two starts off with the track Another Night, clocking in at just under 7 minutes, 6 minutes, 58 seconds. And in my notes, I have here slow build of twinning guitar passage. It does start off very low, very slow build. I guess you call it a slow burn of a track. Uh, the drums come in at a mid-tempo pattern. Strong use of organ on this track. I love the organ use on this track. Um, the vocals that come in on this track, to me, they sound like David Gilmour from in his Pink Floyd days. Just beautifully done. Nice guitar treatments on this piece. I don't know what filters they use on the guitars, but the very kind of like lilting guitar treatments that they use. Great. Great shimmering guitar tone, as I just said. They have, and what I like about this, they have descending guitar lines that kind of lead into swelling organ passages, right? The organs come in lush and full. Um, Leads into a great organ solo on this track and a great guitar solo. When the guitars come in for a solo, they smoke. They really do smoke. Not shredding, but a really nice thick guitar tone and really good sustaining of notes on these solos that they do. Just amazing. Up next, track two on side two is the track Airborne that the box set is named after. 5 minutes and 2 seconds. Subtle piano chords that come in with gorgeous flute at 43 seconds. And that's another thing. You'll have a piece that is like, say, 4 minutes, and they do a lot of intricate time signature changes, a lot of intricate sections that only last a few seconds because they only have a small time to play it in, right? But you go from section to section in quick succession throughout this piece. Again, at 43 seconds, the band comes in. Ethereal vocals that come in. Great intricate guitar, acoustic guitar. Gorgeous flute. Gorgeous flute. Um, the only way I can describe this is they also try and incorporate what I call ethereal guitar passages, a wall of synth textures that also come in. Uh, on the end of the track, they use cymbal crashes and synth passages interwoven in order to end off the track. And in my notes I have here, it gives you a feeling of floating through time, like you're basically on a journey with this album from start to finish, right? And you, like I've said before with these albums I talk about, you don't know where you're going to end up, but you know what? You're in the throes of this album. You don't care. You don't give a shit where you're going to end up as long as you get to your destination, right? Fantastic, fantastic. The album ends off with a opus of a track, clocking in at 9 minutes and 11 seconds. The final track on side two, Lunar Sea, the instrumental that is based on Andy Ward. It's a lot to go through here, guys, so bear with me. In my notes, I have a wash of interwoven synths and chimes, effect of water bubbling, like when you're submerging into either when you're going under, like in the bathtub, or you're going underwater, like when you're going swimming in the ocean, which is what I have in my notes. Like you are submerging into the sea. Gentle guitar notes that come in. At 1 minute and 9 seconds, the band come in, and um, the, the drums, to me, when they come in, it's a slow build, but it does sort of feel like a jazz fusion feel on the drums, like in terms of the pattern that they use. And yeah, great. The guitars are really prominent in this piece. Great double-tracked guitar solo that comes in. Nice use of sustained notes on the guitar. when they're playing. Uh, Beautifully done. Futuristic synth passages that come in with what I can tell is like they use like a pitch wheel to alter the pitch of this of the synths that come in of the notes, right? Just beautifully done. Um, Also, um, it feels to me like you're on a voyage on this track. And when I was listening to it, for you guys that remember cartoons from the, I guess, the late 60s into the 70s, if you remember the cartoon Johnny Quest, you know, uh, that's what I feel with this track when I hear it. In my notes I have here, drums are at a mid-tempo pattern. The synths are really prominent. At 5 minutes and 9 seconds, the tempo changes into a frenetic drum pattern. Guitars that come in are fantastic. Great bass and guitar solo that come in. Also, scorching guitar sections that come in on this. Um, and just very minute, uh, colorful synth flourishes that come in that sort of add to the piece, right? Um, at 7 minutes and 40 seconds, uh, the synths come back in and they're more prominent. They take over, and the guitar kind of fades out slowly, and you're basically again surrounded by a wall of synth textures that come in. And at 8 minutes and 13 seconds, you have a wind effect that come in, right? That comes in and ends off the track. Basically, like you're off on a voyage and you're not sure if that you're going to come back. Now, with this wind effect on some pressings of the album, uh, certain pressings had it where on the fade out of the wind, a certain section of the record would skip and it would always go back to the start of the wind section of the track, to 8:13 of the track, and it would just repeat, giving it the eternal groove effect where, you just hear it repeat, like skipping, repeating over and over again until you had to go over to the turntable and remove the tone arm on your own manually and take it off the record. But yeah, there you go. There you have it, guys. Camel with Mood Madness. Now, the $65,000 question: is this a masterpiece? I would have to say yes. I would, for the simple fact that from the minute you hear this album, from the first notes of Aristylus, you're taken away on a journey. The synth passages that come in that just sort of wrap around you. Sorry, not wrap up, but wrap around you and sort of hold you, kind of thing, and just comfort you throughout the album. They're just fantastic. Um, the guitar work is simply exquisite. It's just amazing. The drumming is top notch, going from rock to what I call jazz fusion, to really intricate drum patterns, just intricate time signatures, just amazing. And the use of organ and synths again um, are just wonderful. And the fact that every once in a while you hear some what I call again incidental vocals that come in from the band, and from each member of the band, pretty much, with the exception of Andy Ward. But you you know it's a full band experience and project, and you're pretty much taken away on a journey, on a voyage to a distant land, right? Um, I would say underwater, like, a sea voyage. But yeah, it is just simply fantastic. It is, I would consider it to be a masterpiece, you know. Um, so there you have it, guys. Please let me know down in the comments what you think of Camel and what you think of the album Moon Madness. And if not Moon Madness, what other Camel album would you consider to be a masterpiece? Okay. Um, I have that massive Airborne 27 CD 5 Blu-ray set that I'm gonna continue to dive into, and yeah, and I'm going to enjoy it because I believe that Camel are one of the most fantastic progressive rock bands in the 70s and that are still around today. But I do believe that Camel as a band need to be mentioned more in terms of lists of progressive rock bands from the UK in the 70s that made their mark, you know. So that's it for now, guys. Please click like and subscribe and hit the notification bell to keep yourselves on top of any new content I've got coming up. I've got more shows coming up with, excuse me, Jim Bricker, Ken Cheshire, and Bill Schuster. We are going to be doing our top five Miles Davis albums. That's coming up very soon on the channel, and more ideas to come. More album anniversaries to tape as well. So please stay tuned for that. And for now, please look after yourselves and one another. I am Armando Venditti signing off, and we'll see you soon with more shows. Bye for now.